Let's get physical, physical. Friends, countrymen, golfers, how are you? It's a new season, the Century Maui Tournament of Champions. I mean, how great would it be to be in Maui right now playing golf? I mean, that's the dream, isn't it, right? Just destination golf, wherever you are, tropical view, pretty dang good. So let's talk about what happened at this tournament. Pretty interesting stuff, a lot to discuss actually. Justin Thomas dropping some, slightly homophobic slurs, if you will. Patrick Reed wearing G4. That seems out of context for G4, but so be it. Jon Rahm now wearing, Travis Matthew and rocking Jordans? I mean, a lot changing. Very interesting. So, Justin Thomas, let's talk about driving accuracy, okay? Tiger played for years, hitting the ball wherever he wanted to, but was the greatest iron player. Justin Thomas right now, probably one of the top 3, 4, 5 iron players on tour, drives the ball all over the places. The fairways there are massive. They're huge. It's really hard to miss. They're probably the widest fairways on tour that they see all year long. And Justin Thomas hit the ball wherever he wanted, but still had enough to work with his irons. He wasn't in that really tall grass. He was just off in the rough, etc. So when it comes to, grip it and rip it, as Justin Thomas clearly does, being 5'9", 5'10", all 150 pounds of him, lashes at it and gets that ball moving 170, 180 miles per hour. As long as it's in play, when it comes down to playing golf, it's not about your swing. It's about what swing you brought to the course that day. And the most important thing probably for most of us is keeping the ball in play and not blasting it so far out of position that you have to take a drop, that you have to re-hit, re-tee. I mean, that's infuriating. It drives me absolutely bonkers to the point where I've taken, 15% out of my swing speed, going from 120, 125 down to 115, just so I know where the ball is, so it's in play. It's so important to keep the ball in play. So when you're looking at that hole and you're playing that hole backwards and you're trying to decide what side of the fairway do I want to be on to attack this pin? Is this an attackable pin? Is this a Sunday pin that's a sucker pin that I shouldn't even be trying to attack? So it doesn't matter which side of the fairway I am. It doesn't even matter how deep into the fairway I am, which of course always helps. I'd rather hit a wedge than an 8-iron any day. But play that hole backwards. Decide where you want to take that risk on. If that risk is driver and there's trouble left and there's trouble right, you would better pick a shot shape and not double cross. The one thing that we're all trying to do more than anything in golf is not double cross. That's the big miss. When you're playing vertical left and right, say you've been playing a slice all day and you just keep missing right, all of a sudden you're like, okay, I'm gonna finally aim far enough left to account for that slice. Guess what happens then? We all know you hit it straight or you hook it and it's long gone. And the dichotomy that happens in our mind, we go into this state of now I have a two-way miss. Now I don't even really know where I'm aiming. We're all trying to take out, on every single shot, one side of the golf course. We all have a shot shape that we go to. And if you want to play a draw, but your natural shot shape is a fade or a slice, which, I hate to tell you, 85% of us, that's our shot shape, you had better play that shot. Because if you didn't bring it to the golf course, you are not going to find it at the golf course. And you cannot aim right and be like, okay, this time it's going to draw, because it's probably not. You're probably going to top it or just blast it even further right because you're trying to do it with right arm, right hand, and that hand can't do it without enough turn and rotation. And that goes back to earlier lessons that we've discussed. So you have to play the shot you brought that day. And if it's a slice and if it's a fade, aim left. Set up on the right side of that tee box. You set up on the right side of the tee box, it gives you more angle to miss it to the right. Whereas if I set up on the left side of the tee box and I'm aiming at the left, I don't have as much angle, it's not as high a percentage of angle that I have to slice it. So if I do slice it, it's going to miss way right. Whereas if I'm aiming left edge of fairway, middle left of fairway, and I'm on the right side of that tee box, I have so much room for it to cut or even go straight and still be in play. Again, we're trying to avoid the double cross, which is what we see quite a bit on tour. Aiming left, playing a fade, hitting it straight into the trees. Let's talk 2008 US Open Torrey Pines, Tiger Woods, one of the greatest tournaments anybody's ever seen. The first hole, dogleg right, Tiger tees up on the right side of the tee box, double crosses every day. He played it 5 days. I think on the 5th day in the playoff, he actually hit the fairway. He was 6 over par on that one hole with 2 doubles, a bogey and a bogey, and still managed to finish, I think 4 or 5 under par and get into that playoff with Rocco Mediate. But like all of us, those jitters that we feel, that little stupid right hand coming into play, we can minimize that with left hand hold, committing to the target, committing to an intermediate target, committing to the visualization of that shot, and trusting it. I mean, trusting is probably the biggest word in the game. You have to trust that all the work you've done is going to show up. And you have to get into a place where you're not thinking about swing, where you're trusting that the swing is going to be there and you're visualizing it. On the day, we make little adjustments. If it's slicing a little bit more, aim a little bit more left. Move over to the right side of the tee box a little bit more to give your miss more room to miss. Because every shot we hit in golf is a miss. It is not going in the hole very often outside of 20 feet. I don't know what the numbers are, but I think it's like less than 1% of all golf shots for everybody, pros, everybody included, go in outside of 20 feet. We're just trying to keep it in play. We're just trying to keep it in front of us. Take the onus off of yourself of trying to be perfect, of trying to hit that perfect shot. Give it an interpretation in your mind, a visualization of what you want to do. Commit to that intermediate target and just let the shot happen. Go for it. You want to grip and rip it? Grip and rip it. But be able, if you're going to grip and rip it, to have a balanced finish. You know, the more we can think about finish, the less we think about impact, the more we're going to allow impact to happen. Let it happen. Let the ball be collected down there instead of hitting at the damn thing, opening the face up more, blocking the face's rotation, and spraying the ball all over the place. So the more we can just commit to getting through the ball, I mean, that's a massive term in golf. Get through it. Don't try and do anything down here. It's already done and said. You can just let go at that point, and hopefully chess keeps moving. You can think about hitting with hips. A lot of us end up spinning out with hips, myself included. I try and go hard at it, and if I'm not going hard with my chest and my arms at the same time, I spin out, get stuck back here, block the shit out of it, throw golf clubs, infuriated, want to quit the game, go home, cry myself to sleep for 2 or 3 days, drink way more than you probably should, try and find it again here in the lab. I mean, that's a beautiful thing about having this in here. I fall apart on the golf course, like every one of us does. I come in here and I try and rework it and see like what went wrong out there, and most often than not, it's me spinning out trying to do it too much with hips, rather than thinking about just letting everything gain speed and getting to the finish. I feel myself that if I get fast anywhere before impact, if I feel any speed before impact, I'm probably going to lose that shot, left or right. It just depends on what my face is doing at that time. But if I can maintain the rhythm that I start the swing with, then I'll be able to maintain that rhythm through and finish. So I think about finishing all day. If you can't finish on your left side in balance, you're going at it too hard. And when you're going at it too hard, it's usually coming from right here. That thing is trying to throw, early extending, throwing us off balance. We all have that happen where we fall off balance and then come back resting on that right foot. And we're always trying to get behind it, have that turn, let that turn get us through to the other side. So those are the things we rehearse during a practice swing. The visualization, the feel of us being in balance and letting that swing happen. Most practice swings that we see for tour pros aren't fast. They're cruising. They're just feeling positions and movement and sequence and feeling that sequence lead us through. The more you trust sequence, the more you trust that hold, the more you trust turn, the more you trust finish, the better that shot's going to be. If you're thinking about finish, if you're visualizing that shot, where's it going to be when you look up? Visualizing that first few feet. By the time you get to the finish, if you're able to hold it in perfect balance, by the time you look up, it's probably going relatively close to your target line, relatively close to where you wanted it to go, to where you programmed it going in your mind's eye, and where you let that happen. You can't force it. We all know that. We all hit our best shots most of the time when we're pretty frustrated, when we've suffered greatly on the golf course, and we decide to stop trying. We all walk up to it and we say, I'm just going to swing this time. I'm just going to swing, see what happens. And more often than not, because you stopped caring, because your ego let go, and the tie that your ego has with your right arm and results, this doesn't add anything on the downswing. You have a perfectly rhythmic swing, comes off the face, you don't even feel impact. You look up, it's going right where you wanted it to. And that's because we just stopped trying so hard. That's because we allowed it to happen. You were in the flow for a moment there because your ego is so beat up that it let the club release instead of trying to add something down here. You can't add anything down here. It's already done and said. Yes, we can manipulate the face a little bit and save it if our feel is that good. Like Jack Nicklaus in the 82 or 70s, I forget which US Open at Pebble Beach it was, on the 17th hole, 1-iron into the wind from 220 yards. He's like, my feel was so good that day. I felt like I was a little open. I shut it a little bit. He hit the pin from 220, one of the greatest shots ever. If you ever have an opportunity to play Pebble Beach in the 17th hole, think about that shot and the magic that has happened there. Tom Watson chipping in, Tom Kite sticking it to 2 feet and nailing his victory there shot. Tiger Woods, I mean, what was it last year? Oh my gosh, I'm blanking on his name, but he chipped off the 17th. Gary chipped off of 17 over that knuckle in the green to like 2 feet, and that almost went in. The nuts, the balls to pull that shot off was absolutely, hands down, probably the best shot of last year. Anyhow, I hope you enjoyed this. I hope you gleaned something from this. Again, if you go back and watch it, there's so many little interesting moments that when you play these back over and over, you'll glean something from it. Go out and work on that the next day. But when you are playing, commit to a target, commit to a visualization, commit to proper setup and this intermediate target. And more often than not, you're going to put it on there if that's what you're thinking. If you can have the discipline to not think something else back here. Cheerio, hope you had a great time. Looking forward to seeing you next time. Thanks for watching.